Alright, what is going on, guys? Gino checking back in for another video today. Excuse the messy hair, but I just woke up. It's a Sunday, 31st of March, and it's 9:37 a.m. Now yesterday I had a refeed day and I kind of wanted to test the waters, but I also kind of over-exaggerated it a little bit, not gonna lie. I ended up eating 700 grams of carbs, and while they did kind of like do my body well, which I wasn't really expecting at the end of the day yesterday, but looking at the footage right now, I'm looking very full. I didn't really overspill in my opinion, because the carbs pretty much did their job of going to the right places, and this just allows me to kind of have an idea of what I can allow myself to do for peak week in, let me see, 2 weeks time, since yesterday marked the day of 3 weeks out. So that means that I'm now even 1 day less than 3 weeks out. So I kind of wanted to see how my body responded to the carbs, since I'm pretty much nearing lean enough in my opinion for the stage. So so far I'm pretty satisfied with the results in terms of how the carbs responded to my body. I managed to pretty much get in some sodium with it as well, but pretty substantial amount, since I ate that pizza and then at the end of the day I ate some more rice cakes. I believe like 12 rice cakes or something, with some jelly, some more frozen fruits. I ate some candy, some licorice, and the bump was insane, man. Like just the carb pump on its own, it was insane. So yeah, like I said, I'm pretty satisfied with how my body responded to the carbs, and that's just a sign for me that I can allow myself to have pretty much some carbs for peak week, and especially on show day itself and the day before show day, and not overspill too quickly. So right now it's coffee time. Coffee. Right guys, so for breakfast I have the bowl of oats with bananas and chocolate sprinkles, added a little bit of salt, 2 slices of bread with 30 grams of Nutella. And while we eat, we watch Game of Thrones.
You wanted to say Arrow just like
No.
Yes, you did.
We are very late adopters to the show, so don't judge. Right guys, so since it is my rest day and the bay has a nice pool over here, I'm going to take advantage of some rest day activity and go for a little swim right here together. Also the pool has some very nice lighting, man. Damn. Those carbs did me well. Alright guys, so it is the next day, and as you can see, I'm back home right now. I had a very relaxing and nice weekend with the lovely girlfriend, and just relaxed, took a nice little swim as you could see, and I feel very recovered, especially since I had that knot in my upper trap last Friday, as you can see in the previous video. It feels good, man, not gonna lie. So I'm back home right now, actually about to eat the first meal of the day, the bowl of oats of glory. And today I have a upper body workout plan. Now, as I mentioned, the bench strength is rapidly dropping, so I'm not going to even bother trying to up the weight or try to maintain what I used to do as best as possible. I'm going to be benching 110 kilograms and focus on explosiveness. Just get the reps in, do my programming, and afterwards I have my cardio session planned. So 265 calories of cardio. Alright guys, so I have the usual breakfast of the day. The legendary the legendary oat bowl, the legendary Nutella sandwich, a small coffee, and of course some water. Right guys, I'm at the gym right now, hitting my upper body 1 workout of the week. As I mentioned, I'm consciously dropping my weight because 120 is not in the books anymore, so I dropped it to 110 kilograms and I'm aiming for 5 reps. I'm gonna see how it goes, because as I said, the strength is dropping, but after that 700 gram of carb refeed day, it might be going better than I expect, so we'll see how it goes. Ging maar ook in. Alright, so what I meant with consciously dropping the weight is not that I wanted to perform the exercise with lower weight and higher reps, but more so the fact of I know that my strength is not at the level as to where it used to be, so I'm not going to bother pushing myself in a way that I might injure myself because I want to, keep my strength at the level where it used to be. I'm getting lighter, my body weight is getting lighter and lighter, and that just makes it harder to push the same amount of weight. And in order to minimize the risk of injury, I'm just choosing to set my working weight at a little bit of a lower weight or lighter weight, and then just doing my normal style of programming. So I'm still on my RPT lean mass program, but I'm not pushing the same amount of weight that I used to push. And of course you should always try to keep the weight as maximum as possible, or at least use the same weights as you did when you were bulking or maintaining. But once you start to notice that your strength is dropping, it's then probably not a smart idea to keep the weight as where it used to be and then risking that your form will break down and you injure yourself. Because to be honest, if I injure myself at like 2 or 3 weeks out, that would mean that I have dieted down for nothing. So I'm playing it safe, dropping the weight consciously and just sticking to my normal programming. Just doing the work that needs to be done. Right guys, I just got home from an insanely amazing workout, so it's time for an epic post-workout feast. First off, for my actual dinner meal, I have 346 grams of white cooked potatoes. Underneath there is 120 grams of chicken, 300 grams of broccoli, and beneath that I have a huge amount of salad, 800 grams of quark, and 250 grams of mixed frozen berries. And of course, not to forget some Himalayan salt and some sriracha. Alright, so I just weighed in at 84.3 kilograms, so that's like a kilogram higher than my lowest weigh-in on prep so far. I'm definitely still holding a little bit of water, but like I said, like I always preach, it's about the weekly average, right? Do not stress if you have some higher weigh-ins, because at the end of the day you need to compare your weekly averages in order to dictate if you're still losing fat and losing weight. It may not look good, but you need to look at the big picture. I have the usual bowl of oats with 100 grams of oats, 40 grams of whey, 20 grams of cacao powder, 2 bananas, which came down to 185 grams of bananas, hot water, some sea salt, some cinnamon, some sweetener, and of course 10 grams of chocolate sprinkles. 2 rice cakes with 20 grams of light peanut butter, and I'm also going to be adding around 15 grams of this light jelly, strawberry flavor. Highly recommend this one. Of course, the legendary Nutella sandwich with 30 grams of Nutella, and another coffee to get caffeinated. So it has actually been a couple of days since I've last vlogged, but I have been terribly busy over the past couple of days, man, and honestly it's been hard to keep up with the vlogging, but I am not going to be making excuses. I'm going to be continuing the vlog from now on, and first of all sip my pre-workout coffee. Vanilla flavor. Delicious. It's around 12:55 p.m. at the moment, as you can see right here. And I actually already ate my breakfast at around 11 a.m. Now I have a personal training client at 6 p.m. So I wanted to train a little bit earlier, finish my cardio, and then head home, have another meal, and actually not have a very empty stomach and be hungry all the time while I'm giving a personal training session. So I'm going to the gym right now in about 5 minutes at 1 p.m. Hit my upper body 2 workout of the week, do my cardio session, then go home, eat, go back to the gym, and then relax for the rest of the night. Now, as I've already covered in a previous vlog, I hurt my trap while I was overhead pressing, and luckily it's 100% gone right now, but I'm not going to be pushing myself on the overhead press anymore. So I'm going to be swapping out the overhead press with the dumbbell shoulder press. Now, I'm still going to be treating it as a compound movement, so I'm not going to be using light weights and performing it for higher reps and so forth. I'm going to keep it heavy, go for around 8 or 10 reps and simply push myself on that exercise. Now the diet has definitely been getting a little bit harder, I'm not gonna lie. Especially feeling the cold like 24/7 is something that I'm totally not used to, and especially since I live in a very cold country as it is. You know, I live in the Netherlands, so being cold 24/7 by being at low body fat, being hungry a lot of times during the day, and not having a warm weather to keep me warm is it's definitely tough sometimes, man, I'm not gonna lie. Of course, I still have like 2.5 weeks to go, but to be fair, come to think of it, since the last week is peak week, so from that point on I'm going to be building up my carbs in order to fill up for the stage. I only have a week and a half left to actually lose all the fat that I still need to lose and dial in terms of my conditioning. So the coming week and a half are going to be tough. They're definitely going to be a challenge, but as I mentioned, it's a challenge that I fully accept. It's a challenge that I'm putting onto myself, so I'm going to be keeping on the grind, doing my cardio, tackling on my nutrition, and just do the work that needs to be done. It's still such an awesome learning experience, just pushing myself to the maximum that I can do, remaining a positive attitude and enjoying this whole entire process. It's something that you learn a lot from. I've said this before in the beginning of the Devoted series, but I've heard this from so many people who have done a competition prep that they learn so much from themselves. You know, pushing yourself when you virtually don't want to push yourself. When you're tired, when you're fatigued, you still have to do your cardio, you still have to go to the gym, do your workout on low energy, feeling flat, and so forth. You know, all the things that come with dieting and getting to a low body fat. When you then actually push yourself through that, it's something that you learn a lot from, and those are things that you can actually take with you with every other avenue in your life, right? I've said this in multiple videos before, but I actually want to take this whole entire experience with me for every other aspect that I want to push myself harder in. Business, YouTube, providing valuable content, being a better person, being a better boyfriend, being a better family member, and actually, you know, improving my physique, which is pretty much the most logical aspect to all of this. This is all experience. It's all a lesson. So I really appreciate all of this, even though it's getting pretty hard, but nonetheless, I'm going to be continuing to keep pushing. I'm going to finish my coffee, drink a little bit more water, make my pre-workout drink, and then head to the gym. Alright, so I showed this exercise before, but one thing that I really focus on while doing these dumbbell rows is not performing scapular retraction. Now this might sound weird, but I actually want to put the most emphasis on my lats, and the main function or driver of the lats in order for it to maximally activate is shoulder extension. So I'm basically just focusing on keeping my shoulder in the most extended position as possible and keeping scapular retraction, which is, you know, bringing the shoulder blades back and together, out of it. Because once scapular retraction comes into play, you're actually putting the most emphasis on the trapezius muscle, which is in the mid of the back, and I want to focus more on the width of my back, which comes from the lats. So by rowing the weight a little bit more towards my hip and actually focusing on keeping my scapula depressed, which means down, I'm actually putting the most focus on the lats. Now I'm still going to be making a more in-depth video on back training and kind of go over all of these more advanced techniques in order to correctly stimulate every part of the back that you actually want to target specifically. But for now, this will just have to do on the channel. So as I said, I'm making sure that I'm not retracting the scapula, focusing on keeping my shoulder in a very extended position, so rowing more towards the hip
I'm really focusing on feeling, and that's another pretty essential part, actually feeling the part of the back that I want to stimulate. Beforehand, I always had trouble feeling my back evenly stimulated across the left side and the right side, because on the left side I would feel more upper trap activation, and on the right side I would feel more lat activation. And ever since I decided to go to my bro Ruben, who's my physical therapist and has a lot of experience in bodybuilding and all of the biomechanics that come with it, I actually feel more even stimulation across the entire back. So I highly recommend you to, if you want better overall stimulation, to just simply hire a personal trainer or have someone with experience look at the way you're performing exercises and then actually see if you're actually doing everything right. I was actually talking to one of my clients and he said to me that once he realized that pretty much 90% of all the exercises that he was doing were performed with improper form and improper execution, he now realizes that it's so important to have someone check out every single exercise that you're doing. And he actually said that it should be a standard thing in every single gym that you have someone watch your form, watch the way you perform exercises in order to minimize the risk of injury. Because if you do something improperly, you might not feel it right now, but at the end of the day, with years of doing any type of exercise in a particular form that isn't correct for that matter, you will feel it eventually. And most of the time that'll be a time where it's actually too late and you need to now rehab in order to like lose an injury that you might have caused. So be conscious of the way you perform your exercises. If you feel any type of pain, any type of discomfort during any exercise or after your workout, it's never a wrong idea to just go to an expert. Go to someone who has knowledge on movement patterns, biomechanics, the way you should be performing exercises, and minimize the risk of injuring yourself.
Alright, so for some people it still wasn't clear in what class I'm actually going to be competing in. Now, I am 22 years old, so I'm going to be competing in the junior bodybuilding class. The division that I'm going to be competing in is called the INBA, which is, as far as I know, one of the only or the only natural bodybuilding competition, which means that they will actually test you for anabolic steroid use. Now, this was one of the requirements that I put onto myself because I do not want to stand amongst people that are not on the same level as I am. I said it before, I'm not doing the show to place first, because first of all, you can never expect the competition that you have, you know, the other people that are going to be competing in your class, but I want to at least have fair competition. People who train on a natural level, on a natural basis. So we now have 2.1 weeks to go, so that's 2 weeks and 1 day, and posing trunks came in. So in the coming videos I'll also be doing some posing updates and actually show you guys the mandatory poses, see how my conditioning is looking and so forth. And honestly, I'm very happy and pleased at what I've been already able to accomplish. I don't know if I actually covered this in the devoted series before, but I am prepping myself. I do not have a coach. In my personal opinion, getting lean for a competition all comes down to just doing a cut as you were to normally do a cut. You need to be in a caloric deficit, hit your macros, eat enough protein and so forth. But it then gets a little bit tougher at the end and you need to take a lot more time for it in order to actually get lean enough for the stage. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it can sometimes be tough to not have some mental support, because I am pretty much the only one in my environment who does this type of stuff, right? Dieting for a competition and getting stupid lean. And there are only a couple of people who actually know what you're most of the time going through in terms of hormonal changes, your mental state, the way you're feeling, the way your workouts go. So it's sometimes very nice to talk to those people and actually like conversate, tell them how I'm feeling, or they're asking how I'm feeling and so forth. And that makes it a lot easier, I'm not gonna lie. So
that's where a coach could come into play, but I wanted to put the challenge on myself, just get lean enough, work my freaking ass off for it, and just showcase my hard work on the stage in 2 weeks time. That is all for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to smash the like button, because it really helps out the channel grow. Comment down below and subscribe to the channel for so much more content coming really soon. I'm out, guys, and peace out. See you in the next one.